or welcome back to my channel. I am your host, G.I. Wingnut. We are continuing with the mini-series or the series on 1952. And in today's episode, we'll be talking about the Rosicrucians. You'll notice on the graphic there's a correlation there between two different theosophical societies. That will play into things in a later episode. But anyway, let's go ahead and move right on into this. Yeah, this is me in post production. I guess you realized that keeping it short was a fail. I should be able to keep today's episode or this episode considerably shorter. I hope. We're looking at the ancient mystical order Rosicrucians. There's a lot going on here, folks. So, according to their webpage, a tradition that goes back centuries. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not promoting these guys at all. None of these people I'm talking about am I trying to promote. What I'm trying to do is get into the mindset or into at least a place where I can try to understand the mindset that might be derived from these kinds of teachings of these different groups. So, according to their website, a tradition that goes back centuries. The Rosicrucian order, or the ancient mystical order of Rosicrucians, traces its tradition back to the mystery schools of ancient Egypt and Europe. Now, see, there we go. Okay, that's something that I hope Laura catches on to over there at Magical Mystery Church because she's been talking a lot about the mystery schools. And what I'm trying to do is tie up this end of the work that I do to what she's doing with supplemental information. So where she's talking about the new Apostolic Reformation and that sort of stuff and the mystic teachings that are being revealed through Constance Cumby's books. I'm actually going to go over here and try to get into the mindset because there's a lot that happened in 1952. We're going to see that. But I wanted to go ahead and make sure to point out that Rosicrucianism is based in the old mystery schools. We kind of already knew that. Its teachings are the development of some of the greatest mystical minds through the ages, and much of the material within the teachings cannot be found anywhere else. Oh, looky there. They've got the secret truth. How many cults have the secret truth? I think every one of them thinks they have the secret truth. Anyway, the present cycle of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc began in the United States in 1915 with Dr. H. Spencer Lewis, who received the authority from the Rosicrucian Order in Europe. We'll look more into this here in a moment. Let's see, what's this next tab I got up there? Oh, okay, I'm not ready for that one yet. But well, here let's go up here. I want to take a quick look at one of their primary texts. Apparently, one of their go-tos. I think you can, yeah, Liber Lucis. I'm not going to drop the links for this stuff. If y'all want to find it, you can go find it. I'm showing you where it is, but I'm not going to give you the links. You can go do your own work on that one. We've Liber Lucis, exploring the light of your spiritual nature. We visualize this book of light. Book of light, light warriors. Anyway, will inspire seekers. There's another one of those NAR code words, to come forth into the light and their own inner wisdom, to reflect mystically upon the challenges of life. The Liber Lucis aims to be a narrative guide for calling each individual to create their own manifesto, their own personal declaration to themselves. Declaration, decree and declare. Some of that word of faith and stuff, some of that prosperity gospel stuff. Anyway, about how they are going to contribute to restore, share, and protect the light of their spiritual nature and that of others. Hey, that sounds like that reawakening tour, doesn't it? I could be wrong. I don't know. I grew up in a cult. Again, I'm not going to go into this at this time. It's 172 pages long, but there it is. So, more about the Rosicrucians. Mysticism teaches cosmic laws and principles by which we are brought into closer consciousness of our divine power. Ascension to heaven, portals to heaven kind of thing. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, continuing. The mystical experience of union with the One imposes upon the mystic a moral obligation to use this knowledge for the welfare of others. The Rosicrucian manuscript. Rosicrucians are a community of philosophers who study natural laws in order to live in harmony with them. Our mission is to provide seekers with the spiritual wisdom necessary to experience their connectedness with the miraculous world around us and to develop mastery of life. And yeah, you can join, and I think the membership probably costs money. But we got some other stuff to look at. Like about what are their basic teachings? The Rosicrucians are a community of philosophers who study natural laws in order. Yeah, okay, I kind of already read that. That's their basic mission statement. Our mission is to provide seekers with the skills for the mastery of life. Work your way up the bridge, right? Yeah, there's that Scientology reference. And by the end of the video, I'm going to tease some stuff towards the Scientology and why this spider web matters so much, to me anyway. So their studies include the mysteries of birth and death, the illusionary nature of time and space. Some metaphysics there, right? Been hearing a lot about that in mainstream conversation, especially over there in the NAR and the community, the New Apostolic Reformation community. Awakening of the physic consciousness. Awakening, okay? Human consciousness and cosmic consciousness, connecting with that higher power. Mystical power of vowel sounds and mantras. Chanting. Hypnosis, self hypnosis. The creative power of visualization. Oh, that's kind of like that manifestation doctrine that I hear so much about. Proclaim your healing, through that word of faith thing. Proclaim your healing and never speak of your illness again, or it'll come back at you. Visualize that you're healed. Accept anyway. I'm devolving here. Influence of thought on health. Get yourself to the right vibrations, right? And you can change the world around you and yourself. I've heard Robin Bullock talk about the vibrations thing. Anyway, maybe I'm wandering too far off the path. Development of the intuition. Okay, that's not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion. I mean, if you develop certain empathic skills to where you can recognize the narcissistic behaviors of people and yeah, so that skill would eventually become an intuition. So it depends upon the technique. I'm not going to dive into it. Psychology and mysticism, metaphysical healing, sacred architecture, uh, um, uh, sacred design and such, and spiritual alchemy. Spiritual alchemy. Hmm. And of course, they invite you to learn more, but so does Scientology. So on this page, you can see this is how you can join. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it, but they don't call it becoming a member. You become a student. Um, you're invited to participate in our exploration of universal laws governing humanity and the universe. Uh-huh. Yeah, there's a few others that do the same thing. So let's just go ahead and take a look at this next tab. Rosicrucian Cultural Center of New York City, which is located in central Harlem. Let's take a quick peek at that. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. I'm not going there. Now see, this is some fun right here. Council of Soles, 24-hour metaphysical aid. Prayer warrior prayer room, like at IHOP KC maybe, or in some Bethel Reading maybe, or Hillsong, where they do those 24-hour prayer rooms with all those prayer warriors. We're actually going to take a peek into this. The Council of Soles is a group of people at Rosicrucian Park and throughout the world who meditate daily on the behalf of others. Oh, hey, that's kind of like yeah, that's kind of like what Scientology does to clear the world of all the thetans, or maybe kind of like the Mormons getting baptized in the name of the dead. To anyway, I'm digressing again. The goal of the council is to bring cosmic help to all those in need of it, like Paula White calling angels from Africa and South America. I don't know. Maybe I'm too far off the mark. What do I know? The council does this by putting certain spiritual energies into motion and directing them in accordance with mystical law and natural principles. Oh, hey, yeah, like the New Apostolic Reformation talking about demons and angels having regional controls and shit. Yeah, pardon my language, but don't. Anyway, um, yeah. So calling angels from Africa and South America to set the election straight. Okay, directing yeah, putting certain spiritual energies into motion and directing them in accordance with mystical law and natural principles. Metaphysical aid is thus directed to individuals who petition the Council of Soles with health, domestic, economic, or other problems. And aid is also directed to those who are attuned with the council. Okay, so that sounds like some of that quantum healing stuff, but it also sounds like one of those prayer request lines where you can sow a seed, that prosperity gospel stuff. Give us $100 and we'll pray for your health or whatever. Plant that seed and God will give you prosperity. Hmm. Interesting how this crosses over. Somebody told me you can't do comparative cult studies if you don't have some sort of numeric scale to quantify everything. No, you can do comparisons by lining them up side by side and looking at them. Continuing, the aid of the Council of Soles operates on the cosmic plane. Cosmic plane, huh? Its activity is solely metaphysical and in no way interferes with any professional or healthcare assistance being received on the physical plane. Oh, well, okay. So, unlike Scientology, the Rosicrucians are willing to accept physical health care from professionals. Good to know. There isn't a differentiation there. Evangelicals are some of them that whole word of faith thing. They don't do the doctors. Same with Christian Science. Anyway, moving on. The aid of the Council of Solace is available to everyone. Once a petition is entered, metaphysical aid is directed for as long as needed. As the work of the Council is generated at the level of the celestial sanctum, and we're going to look at that, what that is. It is helpful, pardon me, it is helpful to attune to the celestial sanctum in conjunction with the petitioning of the Council of Solace. So, attune with the celestial. We'll get into that in just a moment. And I also, yeah, we're going to look at the Liber 777 because that's what defines this celestial sanctum thing. And it's right here. Liber 777. The celestial sanctum. It's only about a 12-page document, as you can see up there at the top. We're just going to kind of scroll through it. I'm more interested in where things get started on page 5. But dear brothers and sisters, all people seek happiness, but if you know how to find it. And so we're going to teach you how to find happiness. There's harmony with oneself, harmony with others, and harmony with nature. All good points, in my opinion. But what is the celestial sanctum? Here, let me make that a little bigger. Maybe you can see it easier. There we go. So, the definition of the celestial sanctum. One of the goals of Rosicrucian philosophy is to give every human being the means for living in cosmic harmony on the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual planes. Interjection there. L. Ron Hubbard calls it MEST, which the physical state is MEST, which is matter, energy, space, and time. So back to this. The mystical teachings that Rosicrucians receive within the framework of their affiliation contribute greatly to this. They've got the secrets, right? To allow them to realize total harmony with the most positive universal forces due to traditional and initiatic nature. The ancient mystical order of Rosicrucians initiates within its egregor. Hang on. What is that word? It's a theosophical word. And it's pronounced egregor. It's a thought form. It is a group thought form. Oh, groupthink. Okay. So, integrates within its groupthink a field of cosmic energy from which benefits can be obtained after a person knows how to establish contact with this energy. This field of energy, limited neither by time nor space, constitutes what Rosicrucian tradition designates as the celestial sanctum. That sounds kind of like some of those falsefits, those false prophets over there in the New Apostolic Reformation, talking about getting their portals to heaven, going and visiting, like Cat Kerr does, or maybe Robin Bullock, or I think Timothy Dixon has claimed to go as well. Anyway, so connecting to that higher energy. There again, it sounds to me like if you take the point of view or the ideas from Nikola Tesla, that if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in concepts of frequency, energy, and vibration. And there's only like 1 degree of separation between Aleister Crowley, who will come into play later, and Nikola Tesla. Nikola was deep into the New Think stuff. That whole. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Anyway, back to this. Tesla was fringes to this. That's what I'm saying. Trying to say it was kind of adjacent. Anyway, back to the document. From the Rosicrucian viewpoint, the celestial sanctum represents the highest plane of consciousness that can be achieved when attuning oneself with the cosmic. Oh, kind of like going for a motorcycle ride with Jesus. I, this level of consciousness is the virtual expression of what the Rosicrucians, as a mystical and philosophical ideal, provides as the purest gift in the service to humanity. This is why you can consider the celestial sanctum as the realm of purification, regeneration, revelation, and illumination. If this is so, it is because all contact established with the celestial sanctum places the human soul in resonance with the universal soul. Oh, the oneness, the universal oneness. And with all of the potential for strength, inspiration, and wisdom contained therein. For all members of Amorc, the celestial sanctum constitutes a pyramid of ideals, knowledge, and virtues at the symbolic summit of which are the cosmic masters, ascended masters, maybe, who keep watch over the Rosicrucian tradition. Maybe they're just like the 33rd degree Masons. I'm not sure. This is why most mystical experiences had by Rosicrucians while engaged in their private studies are found at the level of the celestial sanctum. Oh, hey, that does sound like some of Cat Kerr's heavenly stories. Um, maybe that's how Paul Cain had his visions of angels, or maybe some of the other of those new apostolic people that have talked about, I don't know, them waking up and seeing Jesus standing at the foot of their bed played them a song on the saxophone. I see. There's just so much weird crossover here because the New Apostolic Reformation, even though I grew up Assemblies of God, the New Apostolic Reformation is not the Christianity I grew up in back in the 1970s. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this next section. Visualization of the celestial sanctum. As just stated, the celestial sanctum is not, strictly speaking, a place. However, we all know how difficult it is for the human mind to conceive of a field of cosmic energy in the abstract. Uh, Meditation and yoga cults, kind of like Elizabeth Clare Prophet's Violet Flame up there on Mount Shasta quite a while back. Yeah, there we go. Connection over to Mike Flynn. Anyway, back to the statement here. That is why Rosicrucians use a technique for raising the consciousness towards this field of energy. Before presenting this technique to you, it is essential that you conceive your own visualization of the celestial sanctum, because you will be able to contact it only if you can see it mentally. Okay, so conceive of what your idea of your ideal place is. What is heaven? Visualize it Now that you have that vision in your head, we're going to teach you how to get there by raising your vibrations. I'm having flashbacks to Cat Kerr again. Therefore, back to the article. Therefore, hang on. Yeah. Therefore, it is up to you to create your own way of imagining this symbolic place. Some Rosicrucians visualize it as a cathedral or a church, others as a mosque, synagogue, or some other kind of building dedicated to a particular faith. Cat Kerr. Uh, Jello Town in heaven? Wait, say what? Santa Claus lives in heaven? Say what, Cat Kerr? Anyway, you got a pretty active imagination. And this kind of helps explain it, some of it to me. I mean, the way this ideology has woven itself into the modern evangelical, charismatic, Pentecostal, politically affiliated groups. So back to this. Still others resonate with a natural environment, such as a mountain, forest, or body of water. Hey, the Moravians. I'm thinking about the Moravian Falls here. What the heck? See, this is why I appreciate the work that some of the other people out here do, like Laura at Magical Mystery Church, and the things that I know about Scientology because of Doug Scott Kramer and his work that's on Dazed But Not Confused channel. I miss Doug. Anyway, back to this. Um, Naturally, many of them visualize it in the form of a Rosicrucian temple. In fact, there are many ways of imagining the celestial sanctum, as there are individuals manifesting a desire to attain it. Manifestations, manifest sons of God. That's probably manifest sons of God is not probably not a great tangent to spring off into, but word association is what I've got going there. What is the most what is most important is that our visualization of this exalted place evokes within us the most beautiful emotions towards the divine. Huh. Again, back to Kat Kerr and her answering that letter for that 10-year-old boy and telling him that and her talking about like dinosaurs in heaven and stuff. You can go riding dinosaurs and ride motorcycles with Jesus and what? Anyway, yeah. Um, then we got a couple of pages yet to go here. I do have examples lined up to show you of Rosicrucian temples. We'll get to that in just a moment. We have two sections left, and this is where things get really kind of interesting for me. The ascent to the celestial sanctum. Whenever you wish to ascend to the celestial sanctum, that is, to the highest place of consciousness, where one may attain harmonization with the cosmic and receive its blessings, proceed in the following manner. I'm not advising that you do this. I'm just trying to provide some insights here. All right, folks. But um, this sounds again to me. I'm having, yeah, wow, yeah. I'm having some issues working through this. I'm doing okay with it, but man, I got a lot of emotions running through my head at the moment, just because of how and where I grew up. So wash your hands as a sign of bodily purification and dry them well. Okay, that sounds like a Muslim practice. It sounds like a Jewish practice. I don't recall ever hearing it promoted in the church I grew up in, but some of the other practices that I looked into over the course of my life, that was a big part of it. Um, Then drink a glass of water to symbolize your desire to be as pure as possible on the inner plane. So, again, this is all about visualization. The more your actions and thoughts express your humility and respect towards the divine, the more you bring together the ideal conditions for a conscious harmonization with the celestial sanctum. Wow, there's some stuff to break down there. Um, Again, this is about manifestation and projection. Um, and again, this is getting into definitely brainwashing. Um, there's that to bring, so yeah, to bring the together the ideal conditions for the conscious harmonization with the celestial sanctum. That sounds like harmonic magnetism or natural magnetism as taught in the Enochian style. Um, but it's also plays into something that's commonly utilized by prosperity gospel in the oh law of attraction. That's the word. That's the phrase I'm looking for. Anyway, when this is done, sit in a quiet place with your back as straight as possible and your feet flat on the ground and slightly apart. Okay, that's a seating position for certain course trainings inside of Scientology. And sit in a quiet place. That sounds almost like a prayer closet type scenario. Place your hands on your thighs, palms down, close your eyes, and spend a few moments taking deep breaths. Um, that's sort of Scientology. That's also the getting into the mindset thing as a yoga thing as well, meditation. This is done by inhaling and exhaling deeply through the nose, evenly and rhythmically, without any interruptions between your inhalations and exhalations. So, focusing on rhythm, setting yourself into a hypnotic state. Once you feel perfectly relaxed, breathe normally, and while remaining in the same position, recite the following invocation, either mentally or in a low voice. Um, yeah, I'm not going to read that out loud. It's there. You can see it. But there are just some things I don't dabble with, especially when it's closed out with this little phrase right here. So mote it be. That that was something that I learned in Wiccanism and other New Age practices. It's a non-Christian way of saying amen, but it's also utilized by Masons and a number of other groups. So yeah, I'm not going to go into that. I don't play with astral projection anymore. As you will notice, this invocation has no religious or sectarian nature whatsoever. Its goal is simply to express your desire to the cosmic for attainment of the celestial sanctum in consciousness in order to communicate with the wisdom that it symbolizes on the mystical plane. Ah, the Akashic record. Okay, there we go. That's an Akashic record reference. That universal library of knowledge through consciousness connectivity, as some believe. Moreover, it places our spiritual communication under the protection of the egregore of the order so that no negative influences can be exerted on you while you are in this inner state. Oh yeah, that's definitely one of those astral projection type practices where you would call in the light to protect you and yeah, to guard the shell of your body while you're not consciously occupying it. Don't never trust anybody else to protect you. Okay, that's just my advice. After reciting this invocation, Begin to imagine that you are ascending to your celestial sanctum. In other words, visualize that you are ascending above the room where you are and above your house, your town, your country, all the while going further and further away from Earth until you see it only as a sphere rotating slowly in its by itself in space. Huh. Okay, so the Rosicrucians are not flat earthers. Good to know. After contemplating Earth for a few moments, turn your gaze toward the infinite cosmic and continue your spiritual ascent until you perceive your celestial sanctum as you describe as you have decided to visualize it. Oh, so that's how Cat Kerr gets to heaven. All right. It is at this moment that you should imagine it in the form of a cathedral, church, mosque, synagogue, Rosicrucian temple, or landscape. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of those meditation cults that highly suggest utilizing landscapes or natural environments. Continuing, the fact that you see it rising in the cosmos and bathed in astral light should fill you with the indescribable inner joy. Oh, elation. Kind of like what some folks feel when they're coming out of that worship music at places like Bethel or Hillsong. Back to the article. If you choose to visualize your celestial sanctum as a particular kind of building, imagine yourself entering and going to a place of your choice where you will sit down. There, while sitting completely relaxed, mentally contemplate the wonders offered for your admiration: stained glass windows, sculptures, paintings, statues, colonnades, archways. Yeah, take in the whole thing, visualize this beauty. Yeah. If you prefer to visualize, uh, let's see, hang on, is there anything else here? That's your visualization of the celestial sanctum will lead you to become unaware of your body. Oh, disassociation, disconnection, and of the earthly world. Well, that's the main point of meditation, which can be done in a number of different ways. Even for runners, running can be a form of meditation, or for fire spinners, flow arts. It's a form of meditation. It gives you that disconnect from the current worldly timeline. So if you live completely at the level of the soul, okay, so you completely disconnect. It's all about your body and this thing, this vision, totally disassociated from the world. Having reached this level, your thoughts and emotions should be imprinted with a great serenity and well being that no physical satisfaction can bring about. Wow. Wow. Um, wow. I'm not exactly sure what to say to that. There's just so much to untangle. I'm going to have to come back to that later at another point. I got a lot to unpack here, obviously. Holy cow. Didn't realize it was going to hit me like this. If you prefer to visualize your celestial sanctum as a landscape, at the last moment of your ascent, you should merge into it completely and become part of it. Oh, kind of like Cat Kerr talking with the trees and rocks in heaven. Okay. Once again, it is important that your mental images include colors, odors, sounds, etc. So let your imagination take you to a totally immersive place. Virtual reality. Interesting. Interesting. For instance, you can imagine the blueness of the sky, the fragrance of the flowers. Yeah. Uh, that plays a lot in with guided meditation, which, meditation in short periods, I think, can be helpful. Um, as previously mentioned, it is crucial that you lose consciousness of your physical body and surroundings, for this is the condition for you to receive the influx of the most subtle vibrations from the cosmic. Most subtle vibrations of the cosmic. Yep. So tune in, turn on, drop out. Uh, Timothy Leary reference if you don't know it. Once you are in your celestial sanctum, let yourself be enfolded in the sacred, inspiring, and comforting feelings which reign there, with body and soul bathing in this atmosphere. Oh, hey, that's one of those NAR buzzwords. The time has arrived for you to express to God, to the God of your heart, the reasons you have drawn you to retire to this place of high spirituality. So yeah, you get to sit down and have a personal talk with God. Yeah, this is definitely cat cur related stuff. If your presence in the celestial sanctum involves a desire to be enlightened concerning some family, social, professional, or other problem, proceed in the same way. Oh, if a health problem is involved, refer to it mentally as though you were informing the most pure cosmic intelligence conceived about this. So yeah, that's that. Gets back to that word of faith ideology as far as I'm concerned. So if your presence is for some other reason, maybe political, I don't know, proceed the same way. If your goal is simply to pray or meditate upon some philosophical subject, do it in this harmonious setting and proceed according to your feelings. Uh-huh. After mentally presenting the reason that drew you to ascend to the celestial sanctum, do not think about it anymore. Ha! Word of faith. Name it and claim it. You got your healing. Don't talk about it anymore. I don't care if that rheumatoid arthritis is destroying your hands. I don't care if that cancer is still ravaging through your body. Don't mention it. Those demons are going to get you. Just let it go. Don't talk about it anymore. Don't think about it anymore. Continuing. Remaining within the harmonious atmosphere that reigns there, place yourself in a state of total receptivity. Kind of like, dag nabbit. I'm drawing a blank on her name at the moment. Calling down the fire. More fire, more fire. Bless my children, more fire. Yeah, it's all about the atmosphere. Boy, there's a whole lot of new apostolic reformation rooted here, huh? If you reach this state, it is at this exact moment that you will receive a spiritual influx that will comfort you, revitalize you, inspire you, or bring you to the answer that you are seeking, and so on. This is not meant that you will be immediately conscious of receiving this influx because it is situated at a psychic level which transcends our objective self. However, as the hours or days go by, you will begin to notice the full impact of this cosmic communication will have on you and those around you. Carry the fire. Carry this fire out of our sanctuary. Carry this fire out of IHOP KC or Todd White's church or whatever, and carry it out into the world and let it spread out to the others. That's not how I learned Christianity. I mean, kind of, but not that far out there. Anyway, this is why, despite all appearances, it is impossible to fail when experiencing the celestial sanctum. Even if you have the impression that you failed, raise yourself to a plane of consciousness symbolized by the celestial sanctum. You are mistaken because failure is impossible at the level of the soul. Because failure is impossible at the level of the soul. Uh, I don't know, man. I mean, personally, I think if you have a dark soul, I'm not sure how you can succeed unless your your objective is to just be pure evil, and therefore that's what you do, and therefore your failure is not impossible because at the level of the soul, you're a dark individual. That could change if you actually put forth the effort to do that. Anyway, at the end of this period of receptivity, return gradually to the objective plane. See yourself mentally leaving your celestial sanctum and imagine yourself journeying back on the path you followed for the ascension as you return to the objective consciousness. Open your eyes and say the following invocation mentally or in a low voice. And no, I'm not going to read that. Up next, we've got periods of ascension to the celestial sanctum. That shouldn't take but a moment. Periods of ascension to the celestial sanctum. In the definition of the celestial sanctum, we stated specifically that it is not a place, it is a field of cosmic energy, a level of high spirituality, an exalted plane of consciousness, which completely transcends the limits of time and space. This means that no matter where you might be, it is possible to ascend to its heights at any time. In other words, it is not necessary to observe a definite time to enter the celestial sanctum. You just pop right in there like Cat Kerr goes to heaven. As soon as you feel the desire or need to enter, and if nothing prevents it from happening on the human level, its doors are wide open to you at any time of day or night. Moreover, there is no need to go to a church, mosque, synagogue, or some other earthly temple to practice this exercise. The only requirement is that you be in a peaceful and quiet setting. Moreover, it is even possible to contact the celestial sanctum at night while laying in bed just prior to falling asleep. In fact, this is what most Rosicrucians do, for they have learned through experience that such a cosmic communication promotes a more restful sleep, often accompanied by unusually mystical dreams. Oh, oh, is that how those folks over there at the New Apostolic Reformation get their mystical dreams with contacts from angels at night and such? Asking for a friend. It may be useful, back to the article, it may be useful to specify that you need not ascend to your celestial sanctum only when you are confronted with health problems or material difficulties. Whenever you become aware that someone needs help, allow your consciousness to ascend to the celestial sanctum and ask the cosmic to grant its support and inspiration to that person. If you do this with an attitude of perfect serenity, you will notice how effective this method of helping others is. Sounds like Scientology, and it sounds kind of like Sasha Stone, too. Anyway, moving on. In another context, you can also perform this exercise solely for the inner pleasure it provides. This means that you can ascend to the celestial sanctum for no reason. In fact, we always have at least one good reason for wanting to reach this particular state of consciousness: to petition for the happiness of others and for peace on earth. Yeah, now I'm thinking about those 24/7 prayer rooms again and that new agey sounding music that hypnotic music they so often play. And video footage I've seen of individuals that looked like they were in a hypnotized state. I'm digressing. All right, back to this. We have explained that everyone has his or her own celestial sanctum, because the understanding one has of this varies from person to person. However, in an absolute sense, you should be aware that the spiritual plane where it is situated is the same for everyone who finds himself there at a given moment. This means that the matter of ascending to the celestial sanctum is individual, yet all those who congregate there, in reality, meet in the same field of cosmic energy. Again, we're talking about like that Akashic record type thing, that collective consciousness. Continuing, actually, among Rosicrucians throughout the world, there are always some who, at every hour of the day or night, ascend to its heights to pray, meditate, enter into communication, or petition the cosmic, or petition for cosmic aid. This explains why so many encounters occur in the celestial sanctum. So that's why Cat Kerr has so many heaven stories. All right, I'm seeing clearer now. I think maybe. Then again, what do I know? I grew up in a cult. And in fact, this symbolic place is used by Rosicrucians to contact other members of the order or to commune with the invisible masters. Hey, there again, it's taking me over to Elizabeth Clare Prophet and that whole violet flame. That must have been a Freudian slip. Because anytime I think about Elizabeth Clare Prophet, my brain also automatically includes Mike Flynn. And that's probably where the Freudian slip comes in, because I don't think he's a peaceful man. But hey, that's my opinion. So, winding this up, there's only a couple of paragraphs left, I think. It it needs to be mentioned at this point that the Imperator and the various Grand Masters of Amark are supreme officials of the celestial sanctum. Oh, wow. So they're like the gods, the supreme officers. So who's the chairman of the board? I guess the Imperator would be the chairman of the board. In Scientology context, that would make a reference to David Miscavige. You know, Tom Cruise's best buddy. And the various Grand Masters of the Amark are the supreme officials, so like the board of the Celestial Sanctum. Interesting. So even though you create your own, there's still somebody over it, because it's still a shared experience, even though it's your own creation. Wow, there's some mental gymnastics going on here. I think I just got a stretch in. That was kind of cool. As such, they conduct regular, oh, continuing, I'm sorry, continuing. As such, they conduct regular mystical convocations at the level of this exalted cosmic place. Communicating with angels, maybe. Paula White, I'm thinking about you now. During these, back to continuing, during these convocations where Rosicrucians from every jurisdiction in the world meet in consciousness, certain important messages which cannot be translated on the objective plane are delivered. Trading secret knowledge at that higher level. Us mere mortals can't get to it. We got to learn the secret ways. Continuing. In addition to the interest they present on the level of consciousness, such messages have the advantages of not being limited by language barriers. Angelic languages? For they speak directly to the soul consciousness and completely transcend the meaning and value of words. You just couldn't understand. I can't describe it in words. You just had to be there. Interesting. Continuing. We cannot, within the scope of this booklet, enlarge further on this point, for experience alone will assist one in understanding what such messages consist of and how they are perceived. Join our group to learn the secrets. That's culty as all get out. To conclude this presentation on the celestial sanctum, we suggest that you take full advantage of all the benefits you may obtain on all levels. Working your way up the bridge, working your way through degrees or whatever. In itself, the celestial sanctum constitutes one of the most effective means of communicating with the cosmic and for receiving solace, inspiration, and protection. Consequently, it will be an oversight on your part to neglect going to this symbolic place. Okay, I may the cosmic. I'm done with that. May the cosmic forever guide your steps on the path that leads to peace profound. Okay, whatever. With best wishes, peace, whatever. Okay, so this is their symbol drawn by Dr. H. Spencer Lewis. That certainly looks like one of those Gothic cathedrals or maybe a Mormon temple. All right, so up next, we're going to take a look at Rosicrucian parks and get a glance at some of their temples. And then I got a couple of things to touch on pretty quick. Then we'll be out of here for this episode. Now, the primary reason that I wanted to address the Rosicrucian Park is, as I just mentioned, some of the park highlights are there. And there's things like the Grand Temple of the Council of Solace or Solace, I guess is how that's actually pronounced. I've been mispronouncing it, I guess, all the way through this. But the Council of Solace, it actually has a rather Greco-Roman appearance to it, so I guess you could visualize it as your um, celestial sanctum, as something like that. They also have an alchemy exhibit. They have an Egyptian museum, so I guess you could use that. They've got a planetarium that has some rather interesting architectural concepts to it. And there's a research library that definitely looks Mesopotamian or Egyptian. The Peace Garden, that could derive back to just about anything from the Roman, Greco-Roman, Egyptian time period, the columns and such, and then the meditation labyrinth, which is a huge part of New Age movement. I've walked through a few of them myself. It's intended for contemplation and such. But anyway, so there's all that. Now, the reason I wanted to address Aleister Crowley is because his OTO, the the his particular, what was it, the Order Templar, uh, good grief, yeah, Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn is who Crowley joined and created the OTO. And the reason that's important is because the Golden Dawn is derived from the Rosicrucians. And why is Aleister Crowley of note? Well, it's because of his ties with Jack Parsons, of who's the founder of the Pasadena Jet Propulsion Laboratory, an acolyte of Aleister Crowley, and a rather interesting association with L. Ron Hubbard and the levels within the OTO and the parallels that Hubbard brought with working up the bridge to nowhere, as ex-Scientologists call it. Hubbard calls it the bridge to total freedom, total mind control, and money grift. But yeah, there's a strange connection between Scientology and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and Aleister Crowley. So these are things that I will get back to when we get over to the point where we're talking about Scientology. But that does it for me on laying out some of the Rosicrucian connections, parallels back over to the Theosophical Society, and how it kind of sets up things to tie into other things in the future. And good grief, 1952 was a wild year. Anyway, I hope to see you all in the that. Yeah, I hope you all return for the next segment. And please, by all means, if you like this work, give me a thumbs up, share it, consider subscribing. Um, I'm new here on YouTube. For those of you over there on BitChute and Rumble, you're already familiar with my work. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful life and, until we meet again and well beyond.